It felt like an elephant was sitting on my chest. I just wanted the pain to abandon me for one night. The rain began to tap on my window. I listened intently as my eyelids grew heavy. "Wake up," said a soft voice over me. My eyes fluttered open, and a shiver ripped through every bone in my body. I couldn't speak. The elephant that had been sitting on my chest had now materialized into an actual elephant, but one with a human torso and limbs adorned with clothing and gems. I tried to call for help, but my voice seemed to be stuck in the back of my throat. This elephant being stared at me with what appeared to be compassion. I tried to flip my body off the bed and run, like any sane human being would do when there's an elephant in their room in the middle of the night. But I couldn't move. I cleared my throat, hoping for cooperation from my lungs in another attempt to scream. "Please," said a voice interrupting my attempt. I couldn't tell if the voice came from my own mouth or from this elephant being in my room. A warm feeling rushed through my body, relaxing my muscles just enough for me to regain my strength. I pulled myself up into a seated position and looked over at him. This was wild. I knew I shouldn't have eaten right before I went to bed, but before I could even ask him what was happening, every cell in my body seemed to align into a state of peace. "How are you feeling?" he asked. How am I feeling? How am I feeling? How are you even talking to me right now? I asked him. "The same way that you are listening to me right now," he responded. "But you're an animal." I looked him up and down to be sure I was seeing what I thought I was seeing. An elephant/man? An animal, huh? He grinned at me. "Yes, sort of. Wait, what are you?" His eyes softened. I paused to disconnect my own eyes away from his, as they seemed to pull me in deeper. I looked around my room and then back at him. This has to be the weirdest dream I have ever had. The elephant being moved his hand and placed it on the center of my chest. At this point, I thought my soul left my body. My heart was beating so fast, I thought it was going to burst right through me. The weight of his hand sank deeper into my skin until I felt him reach my heart. Right about now is when the room started spinning. "Stay with me," he said, as if performing life-saving surgery on me. I focused my eyes to see him pulling what looked to be a rock with serrated edges from out of my chest. He held it in front of me and motioned for me to hold out my hands, and he placed it right in the center of my palms. "Squeeze it," he said. "What? I can't squeeze this. This is a rock." Or my heart. I studied it in disbelief and confusion. A rock that came out of me? I laughed nervously at the strangeness of it all. He looked amused. I rolled my eyes and wondered how much this thing weighed. Well, I was already talking to a half elephant, half man on a Tuesday night in my room in what I believe to be a fever dream. God, please let this be a fever dream. So, you know what? What the heck? I squeezed the rock. See? Nothing. It's a rock. I held it up for him to examine. "I think it's time for you to go back to whatever magical land you came from, and for me to go back to trying to wake up from whatever everything, everywhere, all at once, dream, reality, whatever state this is." I tried to hand him back the rock, and he refused to take it. I came from within you, just like this rock. And you are already awake, despite your many attempts to go back to sleep. Now squeeze. Well, he's obviously not hearing me. And for a brief second, I thought about hitting myself in the head with the rock, in an attempt to wake up again. But who knows where that would lead me. So, I squeezed the rock. He placed his hands around mine, and instantaneously the urge grew stronger and stronger to continue squeezing the rock. But this time, I did it with all of my might. The edges of the rock dug deep into my soft flesh until my hands went numb and my palms turned white. I was in pain, and I wanted to give up, but I couldn't. I squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. You're not going to believe what happened next. Water began flowing from the rock like a sponge. I couldn't believe my eyes. I don't know why or how, but I had just done the impossible. And I was talking to an elephant being in my room, and I just squeezed water out of a rock. What is happening right now? I released my grip, and the rock fell into my lap. But only, it was no longer a rock, but a smooth, beaming gem. I picked it up in awe. Once again, my voice was uncooperative, but the elephant being looked at me, and he looked pleased. When we allow water to flow naturally through and over jagged rocks, over time, these rocks break down and smooth out into rounded stones. And with just the right temperature and pressure, these stones can become gems. So don't run from the sharp edges or the pressure that life presents you. Instead, use these things to create something beautiful. But remember, in order to do this, you must allow your emotions to flow like water. I looked at him and then back down at the gem. He picked it up and gently placed it into my chest. My body was shaking so hard I thought I was going to fall apart. Who are you? I finally asked him. He smiled. I am the elephant on your chest. The pressure that you need to create the gems that you seek. They are already within you. And it is through sitting with me, talking with me, and embracing me that you will overcome every obstacle that gets in your way.